Hello everyone, welcome to AB+Production studio. I am Ara Bowman and today I have the pleasure to have our guest, Brent Shavnore. Hi Brent.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing amazing. How about you?
Welcome to AB+Production. You know my answer to your question? Always fantastic.
I love it.
That's what people ask me. How are you, Ara? Fantastic. Why? Because there's no other option.
Either that or outstanding. It's my go-to.
So how are you doing?
Outstanding.
Outstanding and fantastic. I love those.
Yeah.
So I know that you and I, we've been following each other on Instagram for a little while, and that's how we know each other, guys. I got very inspired by your story. I want you to elaborate a little bit for our viewers as far as where you came from, how did you get where you are, and some of the, value tips that we can help some of our viewers to learn from us and for them to get a little bit, ahead with us.
Absolutely. So, I grew up in Air Force background, actually. My dad was in the Air Force, so I traveled the world a lot. I didn't really have a place that I called home, which Fort Walton Beach is kind of my home, but I'm used to traveling the world, going all over the place, not really having a place to sit down at. So I've got to see some diverse areas and really appreciate different cultures and things like that, which has built the backbone and foundation for me understanding how people think and operate.
How old are you back then?
I think I started traveling when I was 6. I moved to Okinawa, Japan.
Oh!
Grew up in Japan. Yeah.
I lived in Japan too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where at?
Tokyo, 8
Tokyo.
years.
Tokyo's amazing. Yeah.
So how did you get all that from traveling with your dad? And, your dad was in military, you said.
Yep. So, I went to places all over Okinawa, Japan that were so beautiful. Then I got a camera. I think it was a Fuji film, like an actual film camera where you load the film and you click the button and it takes a picture and you actually have to take it and get it developed. I did that and I'll never forget the anticipation of having the film come back, developed, and getting to see the shots that I took. Just blown away by.
So you're having the old film,
yeah.
And you had to go in the room and dip them in.
I didn't do that. I just got somebody else to do
Oh,
that.
you get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was just fascinated with photography at that point, and then moving around, getting to see diverse cultures and things to take pictures of, and then bring them back to the United States. And people were like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" Because this was before MySpace. MySpace didn't exist yet. Then I get to the United States, and so I posted that stuff when MySpace came out on MySpace, and I noticed it got popular. And then that's when really my social media experience started, or my interest in social media clicked in, was when MySpace happened.
MySpace was one of the first concept of a social media platform connecting people.
At least in my experience, yeah.
Right.
There might have been some things before that, but that was the first thing I really was interested in. So I posted those pictures on MySpace.
How old are you back then?
I think I was 15 years old.
Wow.
Yep. So then with that on MySpace, I noticed it got traction, so it got me interested, the attention. I was like, whoa, this is cool. So I pimped my profile out on MySpace.
You pimped your profile?
Yeah.
That sounds... What do you mean by pimped your profile? Because this is good value information, even if it's MySpace or a different social media channel. What do you mean by pimp your profile?
So MySpace was unique, obviously, because it gave us the individual ability to make our profile look like us. We got to put our music on it, made it look like you, so everybody wanted to express their individuality or personality on MySpace. So what I did was I figured out a way to overlay a flash, embedded flash over it. So the whole profile picture, add friend, all that went away. It was a big screen with matrix letters falling down. It just blew people away. So I did that. It looked completely, I don't know if you've heard the book called The Purple Cow or not.
Yes, I have it.
Yes.
I read it. Yes,
Yeah.
it's by
So
Seth
the purple
Godin.
cow. Yeah, you drive down the
Yes.
road, you see a purple cow, you're like, whoa, what is that? You stop to look at it. That's what I did with my MySpace page. Long story short, I did that. I had 100 people come up to me, can you do that for me too? So then at that point, I was getting paid through PayPal to pimp out other people's MySpace profiles.
I like how you use the word pimp out.
Yeah.
So that's what the new term. Actually, I like that. Pimp out your social media. Pimp out your Instagram. Because let's go back into the story. So that was in MySpace. How did you feel when MySpace starting to go away and then the other platforms came up?
I was actually, when that happened, I was in Iraq. That was about 2008, 2009 when that transformation kind of faded. So I was off the grid when that happened. I remember being in Iraq and then going into a little internet booth. It was we called them cans, and logging on and seeing that all my friends are on Facebook instead of MySpace. So I made the MySpace Facebook flop in the middle of a war, essentially. And then so when I got back, I started getting into Facebook over MySpace, and then Facebook wasn't as relaxed with pimping your profile out. It was a generic form, so I had to shift my way of thinking on Facebook. And at that point in time, I was more into music. I was in a couple bands in the Marine Corps, so I figured out quickly.
I didn't know that.
Yep. I figured out quickly how to promote the band on MySpace and Facebook at the same time. And that was really when I started marketing a product off of MySpace and Facebook on the platform. Because before I was getting paid to kind of fix the platform up for people by pimping out the page.
But what got you into this? Because you didn't learn this in school. You didn't have the opportunity to actually understand other than reading some books, right?
Yeah.
And I saw you on Instagram that one day you decided to become successful and well-known, and you just did it.
Yeah.
And how did you do that?
It was literally like that. I'll never forget it. This was fast forward, I want to say at least 5 years post Marine Corps. I went to school for industrial psychology. I was living in Maine, going to school in Portland. I woke up one day and I just said, I'm so sick of not having money. I'm so sick of making excuses. I'm so sick of my work not getting seen. So I'm going to make some changes. So I literally YouTubed in the morning. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning in winter, how to be successful. First thing that popped up was a Gary Vaynerchuk video of him yelling and cussing at me, saying it's my fault, I'm lazy, the only person to blame is myself. And I was like, you're right. So from there, it just went down a rabbit hole of what to do to be successful. And it wasn't watch photography videos, learn my trade better, it was fix myself.
How many hours did you invest into like just self-knowledge about these platforms, and how much time did you put into it?
I honestly couldn't count, but I could tell you what, I worked at a psych hospital with kids, and I worked the overnight shift. I purposely swapped to the overnight shift so I could spend that 12 hours when everybody was sleeping reading those books, and that's exactly what I did. Every night when the kids would go to bed and we'd do our rounds, I would sit on the chair and read a new book. 12 hours straight, I'd read the whole thing.
But that requires discipline. You having
Yes.
the background in military clearly helped you the discipline. Agreed? Can we agree on that?
I think so.
And not everybody, unfortunately, understands that discipline is not just needed, but it's absolutely necessary in order to be successful.
Absolutely, and that's a reason why I joined the military too.
A lot of the people they read a book, like Gary said, well, you read a book, but you apply the knowledge. We can all read, we can all learn, but do you do what you actually read? Do you apply that? And in your case, sounds like you took it step by step and you actually apply that.
Yeah, and I had to learn how to do that too. So the military taught me the discipline to get up and actually put the time in. But to follow through with the action, you had to read a book to do that. I think it was called The Power of Now. I think that was the name of the book. And that taught me how to actually take what I read in that book and follow through and apply. And that's huge. Not just anybody can read a book, but to actually have the discipline and follow through to execute that action afterwards is where the money's at. That's where you really benefit from that book.
Well, you became one of the outliers.
Yes, which is another great book.
Which is another great book,
Yeah.
right? And what did they say in Outliers book? 10,000 hours.
Yep. To master the skill.
To master the skill.
Yep.
And I think you have done that because you're quite impressive in your Instagram. If you guys don't know Brent's Instagram, I highly recommend that you check it out. You have a massive number of followers, and your content is absolutely phenomenal. I mean,
Thank you.
it's so creative. I realized that when I watched your feeds, how much creativity you have in your mind. That's the only way I feel like you were able to get where you are, by applying that creativity, self-knowledge, and self-training to get you where you are now. So where are you today?
It's been a wild ride, honestly. Like when I lived up in Maine, I started shooting pictures, just regular pictures, not edited, minimal editing in Lightroom. Then I realized everybody can go take a picture of a sunset with the lighthouse in the background. And it'll average out maybe 1,000 likes if you're lucky, and then you'll get a couple followers. But when it equates to business, that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to create something that fascinates people, that when you see it, it just blows you away. So I started looking at the outliers in different industries, and what I noticed was in those specific industries, they took that trade and they did something completely crazy, like Picasso. When he created his artwork, people frowned upon it because it wasn't the norm. It wasn't socially acceptable to take heads and manipulate them and put eyeballs where mouths belong, but it blew up beyond proportion. So I learned what the best people and the biggest people in their industries did and applied that to my artwork. So I took storms and supercells that you wouldn't typically see over cities, and I learned how to manipulate them and put them over cities, because it caused people to stop back and question their reality and their sanity, because that's what people want. They want to be blown away. They want their minds blown. So I have figured out a way to do that with photography and digital art, to kind of blend the two. That way when somebody's scrolling down their feed, they don't just see a lighthouse with the sunset, they see a lighthouse with a supercell upside down. It just makes them stop. And I mean,
They see a wow factor.
Yes, exactly.
A wow factor.
And people want that. Social media is a form of entertainment. That's what it is. It's a way to escape reality and look at your phone to kind of dissipate your mind.
Now let me ask you this. Being creative, having so many outlets of obviously knowledge, such as in Photoshop and all the things that you do, how do you keep yourself disciplined where you're not spending so much time in your device and yet keep balance? Because I've noticed that you do go to the gym, you do have a family, and I was like, how is he managing to do that?
It's wake up and have a purpose. That's the way I look at it. When I wake up in the morning, I know what I need to do, and I prioritize what I need to do. I know, let's say if I haven't pushed a piece of content out in a week, I know I've got to do that. I know I have to spend time with my son. I know that I have to work. I know what I have to do, and it's all about scheduling that in the day. A lot of people that say they don't have time, I always tell them that's not true. So the same people that say, oh, I wish I had the time to sit down and create artwork. It's like, well, you just spent 4 hours watching The Walking Dead, so you got the time. It's just a matter of prioritizing that time. That's what I do. I wake up in the morning and I set a list of things that I need to do, the most important things. And I like the glass ball reference, meaning that your life, family, and work are balls, right?
Yes.
Your family and your life are glass. If you drop it and you're juggling it, it'll crack, it'll scuff, and you can't fix it. Work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it'll bounce back up and you can catch it and you can move on. It's not like your family. So I prioritize my family, my personal health, my life, and I make sure that that's in check when I wake up, that I take care of that.
What
then
a great
I'm not to work out.
analogy.
Yep.
What time do you usually wake up?
It depends. Sometimes I wake up at 5, other days I wake up at 7.
That's good. That's
I
good.
like, I like staying up late though.
You do?
I'm a night owl.
Yeah, you're night owl?
Yep.
What else you like to do besides the art and amazing photography art that you do on Instagram? What else is another hobby that you do?
Music. So music.
Yeah.
I'm a musician.
You know, that's what I haven't seen.
Yep.
Where do we find you with the musician?
So it's part of my plan.
Okay,
actually.
tell us.
My plan has always been to be a musician, and I have a background in audio engineering, recording, and production. That's where my background is. I'm an audio engineer. I'm building a recording studio right now. The art thing kind of was a mistake. I didn't ever in a million years thought I'd be an artist. But what I'm doing is I'm building an audience up with my art, and then on the side I'm recording music, and I'm going to drop that to this audience and transition into music.
What kind of music we talking about?
I do electronic, folk, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, I love that sound,
Yep.
like beats and
Yep.
mix, and then you mix yourself.
Yes, I do everything. Yeah, from the recording, I play drums, piano, vocals, guitar. I do it all.
Wow.
And then I record it into my own studio software and mix it, engineer it. I've got friends too that have recording studios that will master it for me.
So Brent, what would be the biggest advice that you would offer to the upcoming entrepreneurs that really want to be real entrepreneurs?
I get this question a lot.
Well, you are one.
Yep.
And I really hope that we can help some of the viewers that take a piece of advice. And you know what they say, if you change your life,
Change 1,000 lives or 1,000,000 lives.
So I know that with the new internet and the new upcoming in the internet world where we're
Yep.
going, I believe that we all need a piece of advice. What would be yours, being in the shoe that you were a successful entrepreneur and you obviously have bigger goals going? What would be that piece of advice you would give them?
My biggest piece of advice is to show up. 99% of the game is showing up. And you'd be amazed at how many people won't show up. An opportunity, like let's say if there's a social media conference at your local Italian bistro. I showed up to one of those before, and that's where I met the contact that got me into Guy Harvey. I literally just showed up, had no idea what to expect, but I showed up, shook hands, and met people, and that led to amazing opportunities. So get up in the morning, and if somebody invites you somewhere, show up, put your A game on, and make it happen. and you'll be amazed at what that would bring you.
That's one. Two, how do you get yourself in that state of mind, confident, where we're nervous. How do you get past by that?
So I'm going to give you the answer that you don't want to hear. You probably like this answer, but most people don't like this answer.
It's okay.
Wake up, eat healthy, and exercise. You'd be amazed at what that does to your confidence. If you wake up, you eat a healthy meal, you are what you eat. So if you ate like crap, you're going to feel like crap. If you haven't exercised, you're going to feel like crap. So if you work out, get up, let's say if you're going to go to that meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning, wake up at 5, start drinking water, get you a nice, clean, healthy breakfast, and go to the gym, because that euphoria you get after the gym will carry over into that social gathering, and you'll have the utmost amount of confidence, and people will reciprocate that energy from you. They'll feel it. You're like, wow, what's up with that person?
Wow, what impressive. Would you come back for another interview when you're like super famous for me?
Absolutely, I'm from this area.
You're not gonna forget about us, right?
No, we've got the internet, so I'm still gonna be working from the Gulf Coast. I love it down here.
Last tip though that I would love for you to give to the audience. Instagram. How did you get your Instagram to have over 150K followers?
There's so many things. The biggest thing is, number one, create content that people actually want to see. I'll get a lot of people, no offense to India, but a lot of people from India will take selfies in front of a scooter or motorcycle and then shoot me a message, hey, how do I get more followers? It's like, well, how many people really want to see you crouched up against your scooter? Let's be honest. So create content that fascinates people is step one. If you don't have that, then what are you doing?
How could I improve my own social media better from what you've seen and since we follow each other? And I'm okay with that because I'm here to learn from the best too.
Teach people how to do it. Everybody wants to do it themselves. Overwhelm them with information. Teach them how to run the social media. They'll figure out that they can't do it because it takes a creative to do it.
Well, thank you for that advice. Hey, here we go. Now we're gonna teach and we're gonna invite you to our next classes. I'm super excited that I finally got to meet you in person and that we connected in person. Now I feel so much better when
I'm glad.
Now you're like, am I gonna follow you even more? Because that's what connection does. I'm very grateful and thank you so much for the stories that you shared and inspired me and all of us out there. Do you want to say anything in closing?
Yeah, I mean, for all of you entrepreneurs out there, keep the persistence up and you'll get where you want to go. If you believe you can, you will. If you believe you can't, you're going to fail.
And where the audience can find you?
Instagram at Shavnore, Shavnore.
Absolutely. Yep. This was a pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'll see you next time here when you'll be even more famous and more successful. And don't forget about the little people, right?
I won't.
Everyone, thank you so much for watching. We're signing off from AB+ Production. Stay amazing.